Hi guys, Jen here with Astrology and Earth Magic. So today we're going to have a little chat and we're going to talk about the solar eclipse coming up in the sign of Aquarius, and that's going to be on Tuesday, February 17th. It's going to be at the 28th degree, 49 minutes of Aquarius, and it's going to be exact at about 7 a.m. here Eastern Standard Time. So a whole new world awaits. And, we'll also go through all the rising signs in this video a little bit later on, so you want to stay tuned for that. And that way you can see just how this eclipse might affect you. This kind of goes along with that Saturn moving into Aries, so you're going to want to check that video out if you haven't yet. And then we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction coming up. So this is all kind of blended energies that we have together. But each one can be picked apart on their own. So we're just going to focus on the eclipse. So we are entering now that critical time of year, which happens twice a year, and that is eclipse season. So this is our first pair of eclipses of 2026, and this one is our annular solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius on the 17th, and then followed up by our total lunar eclipse that is going to be in Virgo on March 3rd. So we're going to have a whole separate video on that. That one, you'll definitely want to subscribe and get notified so you don't miss out. Lots of interesting videos coming up, so be sure to do that so you won't miss out on anything. So a solar eclipse is basically a new moon. It's a new moon, which is a sun and moon conjunction, and it's within 17 degrees of the moon's nodes. A lunar eclipse, on the other hand, is a full moon, so a sun and moon opposition. But with this one, we're just going to focus on the solar eclipse. So this is an annular solar eclipse. So what makes it an annular solar eclipse? The moon right now is going to be furthest from the earth at the time of the eclipse anyway, and will appear smaller than the sun. So we have the sun is a big round ball and the moon's kind of a smaller ball inside. So the sun's rays are shining along the outside of the moon, kind of like a halo around the moon. And that's what we call a ring of fire. So you can see that fiery sun on the outside of that darkness. So you might see it darken up a little bit depending on what time it falls for you, but it's not going to be a total solar eclipse. And it really also depends on where you are. That you'll see gets more totality. So this particular eclipse is 11 degrees from the North Node. So the North Node is at 9 degrees of Pisces, and this eclipse again is at 28 degrees of Aquarius. And so the closer that the eclipse is to the nodes, the more total it is. So if it was, say, 3 degrees away, it would be more total eclipse. A solar eclipse, again, is like a new moon, but a new moon on steroids. So a North Node eclipse in particular, which this one is about looking ahead and moving towards your destiny, moving towards the goals that you're pretty much moving towards in this life. So it can bring an unexpected opportunity, a door opening, and a little karmic push through. So depending on where, though, in your chart this falls, it could have a positive or sometimes even a negative effect. So it can be difficult to work with sometimes. And if you even look back at, there's one show, actually, it's called Dark Winds. Love this show. So if you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. So we're talking about the full moon, and people would, they'd hide if there was an eclipse. They'd act, if not the full moon, the eclipse, and they would hide, and they would, you couldn't go underwater. You couldn't have it touch you. But because it can provide some stress, and a lot of times when you are pushed to do something, even if it's a karmic push like this could be, because it is with that North Node, it can be difficult. So almost like now you don't have a choice. You were afraid to do this, but here you don't have a choice. So you want to get your charts ready, because we're gonna again talk about this later in the video, and see what house this falls in. So what house you have Aquarius. And if I like to run these more as a whole sign house, because it's a little bit easier than if you're running in the quadrant style houses. So if it falls in your 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th, those are more positive houses. So it can have more of kind of a positive effect on you. It could present as someone or something helpful, lucky, or fortunate entering into your life. It could be something unexpected, like an unexpected windfall of money, a special person or mentor that you meet, an event, or somehow just finding the perfect timing, being in the right place at the right time that can open a door to a new opportunity, something that could be potentially beneficial to you. So you want to look for those open doors and those little opportunities. It can be presented as more of a difficult or negative way in houses 2, 6, 8, and 12. But again, it's how you work with the energy. That might be like you're getting that push, and it's because something bad happens that gives you that push. So the push isn't always just meeting somebody that's going to help you. It could be something bad that's like a learning, something learning. And so in those houses, it could be more kind of an invasive feel, a door opening that could let in almost hostile forces. Kind of, so almost like letting yourself be affected by negative outward forces. And it can also show destruction. It can show destructive behavior, greediness, overwhelming or excessive behavior, and even obsession to an extent. An eclipse like that might teach you like a karmic lesson. So again, that's going to be like a learning curve that you're going to have to do. So it's going to be a little more difficult than just having a nice opportunity dropped in your lap. Now, if we have houses 3, 5, 9, and 11, those are kind of neutral and they can go either way. So, but we'll go through each house and, so just a few minutes, so you want to stay tuned. So you also want to take into account the element. So this is in Aquarius. So Aquarius is an air sign. Air signs rule transportation, news, communication, networking, especially with Aquarius, also ideas and inspiration. It can relate to also trees, birds, insects, wind or windstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, and even airborne illnesses. So anything that kind of like thrives on that air and that wind to really keep it going. Same with like our mentalities. It's like your mental state, and anything that is ideas, things that are going on in your mind are very air. So, and also you want to look at the modality. Aquarius is a fixed sign. So an eclipse here can have a long-term, even permanent effect. So again, this is going to be that destiny kind of pushing you maybe towards what your life is going to change to. Aquarius is also what they call a masculine sign. So it's not gender-based at all. It's just based on the qualities of the sign, pretty much. So masculine signs are any of the air or fire signs, and feminine are earth and water. So the masculine signs are more assertive, they're more extroverted and initiative. Feminine are more like kind of introverted, they're more intuitive, nurturing. So you see, with the things that are going on around the world right now, there's very much an extroverted and assertive kind of nature in Aquarian themes, also around rebellion and freedom and kind of fighting for that. And that divine masculine energy is really being activated right now, because once Uranus moves into Gemini in April, that will have all the outer planets, so Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, plus Saturn, all in masculine signs. So, after a long period of them being in more feminine signs, we're going to see a difference here because, if you look at how the past, few years have been, the movies have really been taken over by women. Women have been in more the lead roles. We even see that in superhero movies where women are kind of taking that lead, and they're even being written by women, directed by women. We saw the Me Too movement come along. Women's rights, we saw that in the abortion debates and things like that. So debates on women's rights, and all these recent protests that we have now going on that are mainly women and older women too. It seems to be a lot. So that might kind of start waning down a little bit as everything starts moving to a more masculine energy. And I don't mean women or men, I just mean just the energy involved. So you also want to look at the Aquarian rulers when you're looking at this. So then you just kind of put it all together and see what the eclipse can mean. So Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is the modern ruler. I myself use both. I lean a little bit more towards Saturn, but with everything that's going on with the outer planets, I'm really trying to incorporate both of them in there. So Uranus is going to station direct. So the modern ruler, Uranus, stationing direct on February 3rd. So it's already has stationed and it's starting to move forward again. And at the eclipse, it's going to be at 27 degrees and 32 minutes of Taurus. So it's just getting to the end of Taurus. Saturn now having just ingressed into Aries, which was the last video that we just talked about. That's that fiery initiative sign. That just happened on the 13th. Or, well, it's not even the 13th yet. It's happening on Friday the 13th. So, we'll see things really start ramping up, I think, come now Uranus is starting, we're seeing things starting to change. We're seeing things starting to come out, like with the Epstein files and information coming out about that. That's going to be a big key. And I've been talking about this one for months, that this could be the big thing that's going to kind of blow the lid off of government, even the higher up celebrities, and all these people that have been untouchable before, I think are going to become pretty much touchable, and we're going to find out a lot of the truth of what's actually been going on that's kind of been kept from us over all this time. So this is that illumination, and I think a lot of that's going to come out with this starting with Saturn moving into Aries. It's kind of that taking down those at the top a little bit and rebuilding anew. So maybe out with the old type of government and in with a new, something like that. And then of course with the eclipse, and then with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction coming up, there's going to be a lot going on in just the next couple weeks. And then of course we have Mercury retrograde after that, which is looking back and then bringing things forward again. So I think a lot of it's going to revolve around the Epstein case and things that are going to come out about that. I think it's going to be a big factor. Anyway, and this is going to really, both rulers are forward-facing visionaries, envisioning the future, how we're going to build it, how we're going to change it, how we want to start rebuilding with that, a different foundation, a more, strong foundation. And, we just have to put the work in. And as we start seeing how the world is beginning its transformation, this is when a lot of this is going to start. So we're, again, with that Aquarian themes of AI, we're starting to see that everywhere. And even now that Uranus is at the end of Taurus, I don't know if any of you guys watched the Super Bowl, but there was so much on Bitcoin, on, building businesses in an easier way using AI, and I don't even know what half the stuff was that I was seeing these commercials for, but Bitcoin are just cryptocurrencies are coming out. And I think, once now that Uranus is at the end of Taurus, and Taurus is, rules money, it can, we're starting to see that really ramping up. So almost kind of like at that critical point, like, all right, this is going to start happening now, and it's going to start becoming kind of mainstream. So, you know, you can fight against it, or you can go with the flow. So, and this is, you know, this transformation into this whole new world that's coming out. And this is that fixed sign transformation, you know, with the effects of this solar eclipse, which could be, you know, a new beginning. Solar eclipse, it's that conjunction that's just starting, but building that foundation to what could be very long term and even a permanent future for pretty much all mankind. The age of Aquarius, communication, idealism, news, rebellion, info processing, humanitarianism. But keep in mind, as Uranus during this eclipse is moving through those final degrees of Taurus, we can also see, you know, like I said, about the cryptocurrencies and things like that, but we could also see things happening with the landscape, like the land. This can be due to seismic activity, but it also can be due to land acquisition. So changing of those borders, you know, where we have that Saturn-Neptune conjunction too, rebuilding borders. So old borders get blurred and new ones get built. So as long, you know, as well as the Epstein files, I think that the whole acquisition of Greenland might actually become something. So the United States could be looking much different itself. So now let's see what this can mean for you as we look at each sign. So just keep in mind, this eclipse will be very bold, energetic, and it's a bold, energetic beginning. So it's like, I am ready to go. If you see that door open, if you have that opportunity, you're going to want to take it. Or something's going to happen that's going to push you through, whether you like it or not. And it could be a little bit difficult, but fate can come to push you in that whole new direction. So you want to just be ready for it. That's what's so great about astrology. It gives you a little heads up about what's coming up and what to get ready for. So Venus also is in a very close conjunction, almost to the minute, with the North Node. So fate, especially the fate of our finances, our relationships, our soul's purpose, and our destiny. And this could be on a larger scale, our relationships with, you know, other countries. So maybe those unions that we have, NATO and all these other groups, we could see things happening here as well. But with this eclipse, also, it's going to be square to its ruler, Uranus. And so, of course, it's not going to be without some rude awakenings and some harsh realities. There's going to be some strife involved. It's not going to be easy. Any change is always a little bit difficult. So let's get started anyway. So if you are an Aquarius, sun or rising, this will be in your first house. So this is probably going to be the most potent place for this to be. So this is in your first house. So you want to be aware of chance encounters. The first impressions that you get from people can be very telling. So you want to keep those in mind. Also, the first impressions that you give to people. If you're meeting new people, you want to always put your best face forward, just in case, you know. But this also could be that you're looking for a change, so something new. This is a new seed planted. Maybe you're, you know, trying out a new hair color or a new cut. Maybe you're trying to just have a different appearance because, you know, maybe you think, okay, well, this one isn't working, and maybe, you know, I should start dressing a little more decently. Maybe I'll start dressing a little more grown up, or, you know, kind of things like that. It's really just kind of how people see you on the outside. And that's what you're trying to maybe present. And that's what we talk about with first impressions. It's, you know, how people see you when they very first meet you. Also, something opening a door to maybe a self-image, social status, or something like that, that can be empowering, or or something beneficial that could really kind of give you a little bit of a boost. So that would be Aquarius rising. So we're going to move backwards a little bit. So then Capricorn rising, this will be in your second house. You could also use sun signs for this. It kind of works the same way, but I like using the rising signs more. So this is going to be, if you're a Capricorn rising, it's going to be in your second house. So this can affect the things that you value, your finances, the things that you own. You could face a new opportunity in how you can earn money, perhaps an opportunity to invest in maybe a new startup company or a new venture that somebody's working on, that they're trying to get you involved in. Now remember, second house can have some negative effects. So you want to be careful. You want to do your research if something like this is presented to you, because a lot of times these get rich quick schemes are just that, a scheme. So you want to be wary of that because you don't want to lose everything that you've worked so hard for, because that Neptune and that Saturn conjunction, that can be that what dissolves. So you want to take all of this into consideration with this eclipse. So, anything, even investments, purchases. So maybe you're buying something, a nice new big sports car, and, but all of a sudden, something could go wrong and you could find out, who knows what. So you just want to be careful and do your research. That second house, if you're a Capricorn rising. Third house will be a Sagittarius rising. So if you're a Sag rising or sun, this will be in your third house. This could incorporate relatives, neighbors. It can provide opportunities within the community, perhaps. As I said in the Saturn into Aries video, maybe it's a chance for you to run for maybe a local office or something, maybe a town committee person. Also, short-term travel can be highlighted here. So maybe going someplace gets you in the right place at the right time, you meet the right person, and it gives you that opportunity for maybe a promotion because you just happen to be at the right place at the right time, smooth with the right people, and it could give you a little bit of a boost. Now, a little side note that we're in Sagittarius rising. So the US is a Sagittarius rising, their natal chart. So for the US, this is falling into the United States' third house. So it's going to also be conjunct the United States moon, which is the people, represents the people. And it's going to have Uranus squaring the United States moon. So again, this brings out things on mundane astrology. It's a little bit different than just personal. So that's going to be more media, communication, journalism. I think this is kind of how we're going to find a new way to receive news, process news. With the Uranus square, we're going to see different forms coming up, because we're going to want to kind of forget about the old one, because it's going to be a swap. It's like, I don't trust this anymore. I'm out. You've told me this. Now I know it's a bunch of bullshit. So, I think that we're going to be getting a lot of news again from podcasts becoming more trustworthy, because they're not going to be quite so biased. And they are too. I mean, everything is really, when you think about it nowadays. But because of these false narratives that are coming out, because of these cover-ups that I think are going to come out with, say, the Epstein files, I think we're going to see things a lot differently. Be like, okay, so this has been covering this up for years. So you're going to want to look at a new way to kind of receive your news. Also AI. AI is huge, is blowing up everywhere. And it's really going to be kind of the wave of the future. So that's what's going on in the US chart. So that was in the third house, which is Sagittarius rising again. So moving on, personally, we have Scorpio rising, and you're going to be seeing this in your fourth house. So, and this is your home, your safe space. It can be really that key and opportunity to maybe work from home. So you could, maybe work in other people's homes, or, something to that effect. or a reconnection maybe with a parent that maybe you've kind of grown distant with, or an older ancestor that you haven't seen, not ancestor, but an older relative maybe that you haven't seen in a while, maybe even a child. So, you know, maybe a child that you're being reunited with that had put up for adoption, or if you had been put up for adoption, maybe meeting your birth parents, something that kind of comes out. So, you know, perhaps did like the, what do you call the ancestry? Something pops up, somebody in your heritage that is kind of surprised. So those are what I'm talking about with these opportunities that could come popping up, that you just wouldn't expect. So you want to keep your eyes open for these things. So that is if you're a Scorpio sun or rising. Libra sun or rising will have this in your 5th house. So this is sex and emotional satisfaction, chance meeting with a new fling, chance encounters that could maybe be beneficial or maybe could not. You know, maybe you meet up, you have a fling with somebody that you just meet and they seem like the greatest things in the world. You get pregnant, and then that's that thing that's going to kind of be that more permanent. So again, be careful. I mean, I'm giving, you know, just kind of scenarios how this could work out. Also, you could be even starting to play a sport that can really help draw you out. So if you've been more introverted, this can really bring you out. Keep you a little more balanced, give you a little more balance mentally, because you're kind of getting out there, you're socializing and being a little bit more Libra, you know, trying to put yourself out there and just having a good time, maybe with a sport. Also, this could be gamblers, pleasures, things like that, that could maybe even give you some bigger winnings. You could see something like that here. That is a form of a game, so you're kind of betting on games or betting on who knows. So that could be beneficial, but you, of course, I'm not saying if you're a Libra rising, go out and gamble a whole bunch of money, because you want to be careful always. This again, the 5th house can be one of those. It could go either way. So you could lose some and then gain some, and then gain some, then lose some. So you just never know how it's going to fall. So you want to keep your eye open to things that seem that karmics, things that seem like that deja vu, almost like, this seems like, you know, those are the things that are almost like when something's meant to happen. So, also, if you start a new hobby, jewelry making, something like that, that's very Libra. Also very 5th house, but maybe you could start making money off of it, or, you know, blogging, things like that. Virgo rising now has this in the 6th house. This could be a quest for perfection. Virgo can have some of those, or not Virgo, but it is in its home house, but it is kind of a negative house. It's about health. So a quest for perfection can maybe lead to health issues. All over the Super Bowl were these ads for Wegovy and Roe and Ozempic and these get skinny quick things. So you're thinking about going on something like that because you want to look perfect and be perfect, or whatever your sense of perfection is. They could be potentially dangerous, so you want to be careful here. Also, overworking yourself can be something that could come back to bite you. Stress can get to you here. Gossip at work also could be something that can affect your daily life or your mental health. And I'm not talking about people always gossiping about you, but it could be just you starting gossip and just, you know, complaining about things, and that stuff can build up and really, you know, cause a lot of stress. So that is if you're a Virgo rising. So Leo rising has this in the 7th house. So that kind of goes from a me to we attitude. So you may be the center of attention, Leo, you know how Leos are. And then, you know, you might be circling around somebody else. So somebody else might be taking your light a little bit because you're kind of drawn to their light. So you might be looking at maybe making something a little bit more long-term. So if you do have somebody that is very special to you, maybe looking into a long-term romance or a committed partnership even. And this can also be contractual agreements as well. So talking about that, this is where it falls in President Trump's chart. So this is going to be in his 7th house. So it's opposing his Mars, but it's conjunct to his point of fortune. So this is business relationships. When you look at more kind of a larger scale, deals, you know, at the point of fortune here, he's known as the writer of the Art of the Deal, which is about making deals. And we know, you know, of different wars he's settled, and that he has a way about him of making deals, like even making deals for people that he's not involved with. He's like, you know, make deals with each other. I know there's going to be pushback. There always is with everything he does, but with this being in opposition to his Mars, but I think ultimately it is going to be beneficial to him because it is conjunct his point of fortune. So I think this is going to have a lot to do with, again, Greenland and making deals there. And we'll get into that a little bit even more when we do the Saturn-Neptune conjunction video coming up in a couple days. So you want to get ready for that because that one is going to be a doozy, I think. So that is if you're a Leo rising. So look for those more committed relationships to come popping up. So then... sorry, I have my 8th house in the wrong place. So Cancer, you're going to have this in your 8th house. So you might face some loss before having something come that could be beneficial. This could be something that is just a karmic loss. Could be a death of somebody that you love. Maybe your spouse loses their job and forcing you to kind of figure things out in a whole nother way. Also, that they could be somebody special to you, could be over controlling or overly obsessive. So you want to be careful from kind of pulling away and going into a dark place here because it could have a lot of negatives before anything positive comes of it. Sometimes it's the hardest parts in your life that can really be the ones that transform you most. So keep that in mind. When it's harder, there's always a light at the end of that tunnel. So don't let it just get you sucked in. But again, things you can get through can be an opportunity. So look at things like maybe as a positive opportunity. So Gemini, you'll have this eclipse in your 9th house. So you may finally get that chance to travel that you've been working on. Or maybe you're even going to be going to school abroad, maybe going to further your education abroad, maybe a long-term move out there. Maybe you your job gets moved, so you have to move across the country or something. It can even be like a vision quest. Maybe you're going on a religious retreat and that's what you decide to do. You know, I'm going to put myself fully into this life. Kind of reminds me of the 3rd season of White Lotus when she was thinking about going there, but then she actually goes and she doesn't want to stay. But could be also a chance to become more involved in community and humanitarianism and, being in a religious group. So with Taurus, sorry, this is running long. I'm going to try and kind of hurry up a little bit, but I'm not going to, half-ass any of you guys coming up. So with Taurus risings, we have this in the 10th house. So this is usually a very positive house. The opportunities can come up in your career, something that you gain a little bit more recognition, something that kind of boosts you, puts you in the spotlight, and others kind of see you in a whole new way. So that boosts your reputation, some kind of door that opens that you can just take the reins and just be that leader. Use that Taurus charm and seduction to really illuminate and that claim to fame. Just like, okay, so I know I can shine here. So you really want to have people see that. So you want to like outwardly show that with that Taurus, and just kind of how Tauruses are. They're just so likable, and you can be like that seductive likability that they have. So that's going to be in your 10th house, Taurus. So now Aries, we will have this in the 11th house. So this is going to be about networking and building up your social groups. The more you put yourself out there, the more opportunity you have to meet the right people. So really kind of boosting your network to have these people be beneficial to you, to boost you. This can also be if you do online videos or something like that, maybe collaborations with other people to kind of give you a little bit of a boost. Because sometimes those people can really help you along the way. And, you know, if you meet that one person that has that dynamics, that maybe is doing that thing that you're wanting to do, maybe they can give you some help. And now finally, Pisces will have this in the 12th house. So you want to pay attention here to your dreams. Very Piscean. They can open a door to your subconscious. You may, though, face some demons. So now this is again a negative house. So why are you maybe being forced to face these demons? Maybe, you know, you've been having some addiction problems. You get arrested, and you're in jail. So you have to face those demons. Maybe you overdose or have something bad like that happen. So you're in the hospital. So you have to face those demons. You have to know what comes next. So maybe this can have you, so that's the themes of the 12th house, is kind of pulling away, almost being secluded, but working towards a better outcome for your life. Again, you know, mental illnesses, things like that, you know, you could be committed because of something, you know, especially, or have something bad happen because of the choices that you might have made, you know, as far as, you know, drugs or drinking, things like that, that you might have to kind of pay for before you can, you know, move on from. So that can be pretty difficult. So I'd say, you know, the 8th and the 12th, you know, you might have some things that you have to work through mentally, but you can do it. Put in the work, talk to people. It's always going to be best for help. And if you have to go into some kind of rehab or something like that, especially 12th house, if it's going to help you in the long run, that just do it. Because this could be something that karma is forcing you to accept in your life. So it might be difficult to accept, but sometimes you don't have a choice. It's kind of, could even be like that rock bottom. So again, you want to look for that opportunity, look for that open door that can transform your life no matter where this falls. Everyone can have a better life. Everyone can be a better person on the outside. And this can, you know, first, you know, be met again with some stripes, some difficulty, and it could take a long time to work through. This is that fixed sign, so it's more long term. So you could be working on this for a while for something to really sink in and become permanent. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And as we end, I'd like to say to everyone, thank you guys for watching. It's really helping. It's really boosting the channel lately. And I am so appreciative. And I love reading all of your comments. So you guys have been just leaving such nice comments and even giving me advice. So last time I didn't put my time, the time checks on, you know, every sign. So I'm going to do that from now on because a couple of you brought that up and it really helps. So please comment. I love it. And it really is helping to grow the channel. So comment whatever you want, your fears, your excitement of the future. Let me know what you think. Definitely hit that subscribe button and hit the like button if you like this video. So as we go forward today, I would just like to say to everyone, go forward with peace in your minds, positivity in your words, and love in your heart. I will see you soon. Bye.